All right, so this is what's going on. I guess this is a little quick vlog style introduction to, I guess, how my depth year is going, which inadvertently um, has resulted in gardening. Um, so expect a whole bunch of things like that. So it's funny, like depth year again, deep into the earth and all that kind of stuff, which I found naturally interesting as one of my court card significators is typically like Queen of Pentacles. So I find it very therapeutic. I'm also realizing how practical it is too if you know that like you like to cook with certain things or use certain herbs or spices or produce, you know. So in my case, I was like, I already had planned to do this last year, like to try and garden this year, because this would be year one of me actually maintaining a garden and working with it and, you know, determining what's growing and all that kind of stuff. So I spent all day yesterday doing yard work, which I am completely beat down. But it was good. It was therapeutic, and I did find an already established mint like bush. I also found where the old owners had planted blueberries in the ground. There's no fruit yet. So now I have to do research. There's a lot of research happening on my end when it comes to like what's happening over here, you know, on the property or whatever. I also found scallions, lots and lots and lots of scallions. And I was like, holy crap. So it's kind of cool because so I transplanted some of the scallions into a pot because it just seems like things were kind of like all over the place. I feel like my Virgo rising really wants everything to be orderly. So I'm taking baby steps towards making that happen while still being able to utilize what's happening. So anyways, yeah, I found the mint, I found the scallions, and like I said, I finally found the blueberries because the old person who used to live here before told me that they planted blueberries, but I didn't know if it was in like a little starter pot or what. And I actually found the tag. He had put it like on one of the branches that's in the ground. So I was like, cool. So I'm not sure if he did that last year or 2 years or 3 years ago. But if this is like year three, it might bear fruit this year. So I'm excited to see what happens with that. And these gardening based rambles or vlogs that I'm going to share, I guess, on my channel is gonna be a new thing. I might have to figure out a naming convention for it. So go ahead and pop your ideas in the comments, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn the video around so I can just show you what I did here because we're having to be resourceful, right? So I did get some seeds and some little starter pots to get some herbs going. I'm gonna have to figure out another lighting solution as well because I do have like producey things like peppers and cucumbers that I haven't planted yet. But I need to make sure that it's a controlled environment, so I don't want them to not get enough light. So anyways, I'm gonna turn this around and then just talk about it. Here, what I have is, it looks kind of crazy, but I'm gonna step back for a second. So that's my desk. So you can see that's my desk. So what I have here, this is one of those Ikea hanging lights that I used in the office before. I changed out the light bulb to actually be kind of like a hot one. I need to get a heating light bulb like for plants. But this is gonna do for now because it was supposed to be, I don't know, it's the weather right now is kind of like all over the place outside. Like some day like it's really cold in the mornings, and then you know, nice and warm in the afternoon. So I want to make sure that they have a steady thing. This window is a south facing window, and it does get a lot of light. So I did try to test it out earlier, and even with this kind of cage thing going on or insulated thing going on, the seedlings will still get direct sun anyways. So they need, from what I understand, about 8 hours of direct light and a certain warmth to thrive. Now, what I have in here, and I'm not sure. What I have in here so far, I have some oregano, or let me just point to it and not be overly like zooming in here. So this is peppermint. This one is, who are you? Rosemary, which rosemary and peppermint both need a little bit of shade, but I'm gonna wait for the seedlings to sprout first, and then that'll give me time to kind of determine how to give them partial shade, because they need partial shade. Everything else requires full sun. Here is marigold. So this marigold I plan on keeping in my office as it grows. I'll transplant it to a bigger pot, but that it's a good winter plant for the indoors. So that's kind of the plan for these particular marigolds here. I did plant some outside yesterday as well, in an already established maribed area. So I'll share that on the next sunny day we have. I'll take you guys outside. Here we have cilantro, parsley, chives over there, more oregano. I don't know how that got, oh, oregano here. I use a lot of oregano, and I want to dry some, and I cook with it a lot. And so over here I have bunching onions, which I did start those because they're kind of like, I don't really plan on putting them in the ground. I plan on repotting them in a bigger pot and just maintaining it that way. And then here I have basil, and then here I have two lavenders. I thought I did 3 lavenders. Yeah, lavender. So I also really love lavender, but these will be getting planted outside. 2 of them I'll plant outside. 1 of them I'll keep in a pot, and then determine for this growing season, you know, after the next winter comes, if this variety actually will grow back in the ground outside. My mother-in-law has lavender in her front yard, and that variety does grow back every year. So I'm curious if this is the same variety or not. And then in which case, if it doesn't grow back next year in the same area, then I'll probably just go ahead and take some, gather some from my mother-in-law's house. So, so yeah, this has been part of what's going on with my depth here, kind of like how much cultivating of the land can I do to minimize my outings to the stores, being kind of on the self-sufficient side as, you know, much as possible, and whatnot. So I do have more pots. Like I said, I have more seeds. I guess I can share that. So I do have sunflower. These sunflowers are gonna go on the outside of the house. Still, like I said, I'm still new at this. I'm not like a super expert or anything, but that's kind of the point of me making these vlogs, is to kind of go through that journey with you guys. So I for those of you guys who are unfamiliar, I am located in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is zone 6. I believe it's 6B. Every area has a zone, so certain things will grow better, and etc. So anyway, so these sunflowers, there's an area outside that I want to plant those, and those are of course my eau de parfum for Oshun. And what better way of, you know, seeing if those can grow back every year consistently. So I have more marigolds here. I don't know what I want to do with these. I didn't plant these yet. I did buy extra because I have them all, like there's already marigolds outside, so I wanted to see how those come in. I think these will probably go in the back. Or I'm gonna try to just, like I said, clean it up so it doesn't look so crazy out there. I feel like everything's everywhere. So here I have sweet banana peppers and sweet peppers that I still need to pot, which I think I might go ahead and get these potted, but I have to figure out another lighting convention. See if I can find the right light bulbs before I start getting these going, so that I can have, you know, basically what I got going on here with this selection of things to get them all going and started. I also have spinach. Again, I think we're gonna do some raised, what do you call it? Like instead of putting it, tilling the ground itself, doing some raised beds and filling it with the proper stuff and labeling it all right and everything like that. So we might do that with the spinach and the butter lettuce. Yeah, butter crunch lettuce here. So some leafy greens, and some cucumbers, which I believe cucumbers are vining, but I'll talk about that on another separate thing. Oh, these are the ones I've already planted, keeping that to make sure that I'm keeping up with all the things. And what else was there was something else I was gonna say. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, I mean, this is kind of where my brain has been at, outside of, like, you know, not wanting to, I'm gonna turn this back around. So this is where my brain has kind of been at in terms of my focusing my energy, and not, you know, figuring to be more productive and more practical and less what's the word, less wasteful and less consumeristic. It's kind of just like one of those things. So as each stage kind of happens with the garden, I think I'm gonna go ahead and kind of keep you guys abreast about that and how it's going, because at least if you live in a similar climate or a similar kind of zone or something, like, again, I'm saying the things because this is what I've been researching, this is what I've been trying. But it did feel really natural for me to be out there and, like, trying to identify plants and trying to, you know, and getting my hands dirty and replanting the scallions. Like, I was surprised that I decided to do that, because what the hell do I know, right? But there seemed to be such an overabundance of them that I was like, well, I can try and see what happens. So yeah, let me know how you guys are doing. Are you guys doing indoor gardening? Because that's something else I'm also, like, kind of on the fence about when it comes to the plants, whether I want to put them in the ground this year and see if they come back next year, or keeping them, you know, repotting them into a bigger pot, and then when the cooler seasons hit, keep them inside and keep the temperature kind of, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. So I guess I could try both if I plant everything in two pots and then label things accordingly. So then this would be the year one experiment of gardening, just to see what works well. And I think most times, like, your gardening centers and stuff will have whatever is, like, local to you, or what will grow good for you, like your area. I think. Now, secondly, the thing that I was, like, obsessing about today was my tomato plants. So I had 2 tomato plants in the front in the fall when I first moved in here, and of course everything was so hectic. I didn't know, like, I in my brain, like, kind of assumed that the tomato plants would grow back. So now there's not a label on those, so I don't know what variety they are. I don't know if they come back after a winter like we had. So instead of doing the tomatoes from seedlings, the next time that I make a trip to the garden center, I'm just gonna get, like, the little baby tomato plants that are already they're already starters, and then plant them because I really, really, really love tomatoes. But that's also a good excuse for me to clean it up a little bit out there, because the bigger tomato plant that was out there overgrew its little housing component, and it tipped over and it was all in the ground, which is not really good for the tomato plants. You have to help them stand up or whatever. So yeah, so that'll be an interesting also thing to do, where and with the tomato plants, knowing that they die in the frost, I am considering dedicating some air, probably my office is going to turn into some kind of weird tarot slash, you know what's the word I'm looking for here, like greenhouse, if you will, where I kind of keep the plants during over the winter time, bring them inside, keep them warm, and try to keep cultivating. So in this case, that also excites me, because I really, really want like a dwarf lime or lemon tree, which I think you can take in and outside. So I have to be cognizant of all of that. But I use a lot of limes and I use a lot of tomatoes when I cook. So it would be nice to have a plant that produces that for me. And then I could just pick it and I can make lemonade or limeade and whatever, all the fun stuff, right? So I am talking a lot and I feel like I'm rambling, but I kind of have this idea in my head of these goals. And it feels a little bit overwhelming because it's a lot to take in and a lot to learn. But I am making the choices of the things that I'm planting based on, like, I really just love how marigolds look. So that's like an aesthetical thing. The sunflowers is more of a spiritual thing, and you can eat the seeds too, and that brings birds and all that kind of stuff. And then, just like I said, like, make my own salad. I wouldn't have to worry about that. So I am being cognizant of that, but it is a lot to take in and process. But the good thing about this is it does take patience and it does take consistency. So yeah. So anyways, I'm gonna let you guys go and I'll talk to you later. Peace. All right, so here we are. So here's my backyard. All right, this swing set is gonna go. This came with the house. So here's kind of what's going on. So we're just gonna take a tour of the back to get a quick assessment of what's going on. So over here where you see that blue thing right there, that whole area, there was 2 compost bins. Actually moved the compost bins towards back behind there. And I gotta work on that. So as you can see, the old owner had a lot going on. There's like a lot going on back here. And I just want to try to eventually clean it up. All right, so right here, so today's date is April, it's important to check the dates here, April 6th. So that's a peach tree, all right? Don't mind it, I've been trying to clean up here, it looks crazy. Here's another peach tree, all right? Then, I'm sorry. So then right here is a little baby peach tree. So they're all like right in one, I'm like in the center of the 3 of them, okay? Over here, I'm not really 100% sure what the hell is going on. There's no tags. Damn it, I thought I got all these leaves out of here. You don't understand, we cleaned up a lot of the leaves back here and there's still leaves. It's ridiculous and it's making me sick. But anyways, so this doesn't have a tag in it or anything, so I don't know what's growing. I've been trying to take the leaves out of these things. Sorry, one hand single fist in it. But as you can see, there's some things starting to try to sprout some but I'm not sure exactly what it is. I have a bunch of these though around, so I'm thinking it's something either edible or just something perennial that is just gonna grow back every year. So he didn't really do raised beds, as you can tell. He put bricks, but like that circle is broken. It's not, yeah. So anyway, so you gotta understand, this is year one for me, and I'm trying to get it together. So here is, God, there's some more leaves. There's more. Anyways, I gotta clean this up. But see, here's the blueberries. It says high bush hybrid. So I only see one here, but I do see green coming back. So this definitely is trying to come alive now. I just gotta give it some, I gotta check the pH balance. I do know that these like a specific acidity and stuff like that. So there's some other little things going on over here. I'm not quite sure what's happening. Now this was all left over. I inherited all the stuff that I'm showing you right now. This is not even what I mentioned before. So here we have another starter, peach tree. This person was obsessed with peach trees. And then there's another one right there, you see it? So another baby one, but he planted it in the ground. I'm not sure why they're so far away from each other. So I might try to move that one to a different spot. Again, I need to redo all of these beds because they look at how the bricks are. It's crazy. And it doesn't make good for mowing the lawn easy either. So, all right. So up here, so as you can see, there's like, I'm like on a hill now, which makes it awkward. So there's some stuff looking like it's trying to grow up. I'm not familiar with identifying everything, but I know these guys, these yellow flowers here, I think were daffodils. Oh shit, I'm gonna fall, oh my God. Stupid hill. I don't have the right shoes on for this. There's mint everywhere, look at this. So part of the problem is that I actually have mint. I have mint everywhere. And I don't really appreciate it. If anybody knows what this is, if you know what this is right here, those are everywhere too. But this is just a little bit too haphazard for me. And I would like to fix it. So we have more beautiful daffodils right here. More daffodils. I know later on, like in the fall time. Oh my God, this angle is really steep. I'm walking you guys around. There's marigolds back here. I know that come back every year. And then this is the big mint plant that I was talking about. Now, something that I read, that smells so good. What I read about these is that if you don't have it in a raised bed, maybe by itself, it'll seed itself everywhere. It's very windy here, generally in Cincinnati. So I can see how this mint plant is starting to sprout up in other spots. Is that a mint plant over there? There's more stuff popped up from the ground than 2 days ago. Yeah, that looks like it's the same plant there. More mint. So again, it's very haphazard, these beds. I'd rather like transplant this guy into a raised bed. So here's what I was thinking, right? So let's move down. Sorry for the vloggy style. Again, year one, not a professional, trying to figure it out. I would love to have a really pretty edible kind of garden back here. So something else that's going on is there's these coniferous trees providing privacy. What I'm considering doing is, after I clean this up, is maybe doing some raised beds in between the trees for just the herbs. Now, it's not particularly sunny right now, but this spot does get a pretty decent amount of sun, especially if I could keep the shrubbery back up here to not cover them. So I think it would make it look nice and neat. And it'll, see, I have more mint right there. Look at this. It's crazy. But see, I have like this whole area that I could probably utilize just for like herbs and spices. And then I'm gonna turn slowly, try not to make you guys dizzy here. So if I could use this side over here for the herbs, then I could probably wipe out those flower beds, right? I could replant the daffodils and the marigolds maybe back in there in between, since this whole part is like hilly, so it's much a pain in the ass. So anything back there that would come back and kind of do well on its own to reseed itself. Also redo that fencing along the back to be consistent. The visual clutter is making me annoyed. But then if I could clean this up here, I can probably square it off up to this point here, square it off maybe right up to where that little white pot is, and then I can do rows for produce, right? Like peppers, onions, maybe tomato over here, tomato plant, one or two of them, right? I have some other things. What the hell am I thinking about? Onions, peppers. Anyways, you understand, right? Produce over here, herbs over there. And then where that blueberry tree is at, I can probably keep it right there, but I can clean it up, make it a better, embed it better to make it look better. Like probably, since I'll be using squares, probably square it off. And then maybe adding a secondary blueberry bush, I guess is what it's called. So, because those out here in zone 6, I believe, are perennial, so they'll grow back every year, which is good. Strawberries do well too, so maybe I could have a strawberry / blueberry patch over in that side over there. That might be an option. And as far as these other little trees in the middle, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about those. I hate to like tear down something, but it looks so inconsistent to me. It's making me nuts. So anyways, thank you for walking through me trying to figure out this garden. And you know what? In like 5 years, when this looks completely different, it'll be nice to come back and take a look at what it used to once look like. Yeah, so until then, talk to you later.